Hello everyone, and welcome to the next tutorial video for the Djemini Network. Today we're going to be showing you how to put together your own group, or a project is what we call it on the network. And it can be a community project or a focus group or fan group or a small business or an artist or pretty much anything. Now the first thing you want to do is go to your profile, and you'll have all your regular bits here, but you'll also have on the top right here these places where you can contribute content to the network. And so for today we're going to go over here to the big green button, create a project. Now the first thing obviously that you want to do is you want to create a group name, right? And the shorter you keep it, the easier it'll show up in search bars and things like that, or when it's displayed in a search field. And then obviously you want to describe, to the best of your ability, what your group and project is about. Now here is where you can add like an icon, or in that case, if it's a small business, that's where you would add your logo. But you also have your banner art that you can put across the top of the page, as well as your privacy options here, and who can invite members to the group, like who it's visible to and all that, right? So that's, you have pretty good control over the privacy options of the project or a group. Now here you have your URL, as it will show up in search engines or on the search bar if people can just type in your URL, so you can put that on a business card or anything you want, and then that'll show up as a place for you to put something. Now when members join your group, they'll be called whatever you want them to be, right? So if you're running like a gardening group or something, you can say, hey, my members are gardeners. Now here we have categories that we've set up as basically like a nutshell category you can select. But if you have another category that needs to be included, you just send me a personal message, PM, and I can add a new category. Now you can also select multiple categories by just holding down Shift and then clicking on the categories you want to include. Important to remember that whenever you're done filling in all of your information, to always hit the Save button at the bottom of the page. So now here is what your default group looks like after you've created your first page. And so it'll give you your title of the group. When you input your banner art, it'll show up there, and your logo. Now you'll see that you have your top tabs here that you start out with, and those you can always go back to edit later if you want. Now you can add a whole bunch of different blocks that you want, like a forum, or you can add images. Like it'll display different things on your home page, right, as you see in your tabs. You have a full comment section. You have all these things that are basically like canvases to start painting on, you could say, because all these different fields that show up have their different functions. Now to edit the fields and the layout and all that, you want to go to Edit Pages in this little gear menu. So now here on your page for being able to edit all the different fields and layout, as well as your tabs, you'll see that you have all these different options here. Things are fairly well labeled, and so you can figure out what's going on, but at the top of your group you have your tabs, and that's what these 4 blocks are right here. Now you can add different blocks or tabs to the top of your page, and each tab has its own settings, right? Its own page settings. And so when you create a new page, you select out of this area here, and it'll tell you what kind of page you want to create. Once you've created the page, you have these different options here as well. You can set whatever page you want as your home page. You can create a custom description for the page that'll show up like if somebody posts it on another social network. You can also rename the tab itself. In this case, we're going to call our home page the landing. And underneath that, you can give your page, or like your home page or tab, or a custom URL. Now you can also select your privacy options to see who can see all the content in your group. And then underneath that, you have the page layout itself, which is the basic layout of each page that you want to have as it's displayed. Right now you can see that it's kind of all stacked blocks when we started. And so this block at the top is where it'll display all of your different information right here. And that includes all the information that you filled out when you edited your profile. And to get back to that, you can always go back to the other function of manage group as opposed to manage pages. Now here you can actually create a custom title at the top of the block, and then when you go to preview it by clicking the view button there on your page, you will see the new title to your group description block. Now in that block as well, you also that's where your join button will show up for when you have new members. Now on our comment section here, you can click that and it'll have all the different settings that you can have. Again, you can title the block itself, which will show up at the top of the block on the page. And of course you can go through what kinds of settings you want for your thread. So you can let your members leave HTML comments, which basically allows them to like embed photos and videos and things like that. So now when we go to preview the page again, here's your comment wall, and it'll update it with the new title at the top, as well as all the settings that you've applied to it. Now going back to our edit page here, now we're going to show you how you can lay out the different where the blocks will show up in relation to one another. I usually like this type of layout right here because it gives you a space to be able to drag like your welcome and join button over to here, and just be able to rearrange where you want the blocks to show up on the page in terms of the layout. And you can drag and drop them, like just click each block you want and drag it to which position you want on the page. And then when you go to refresh the page, you can see how it's structured the layout according to where you've dragged the blocks to. So now we're going to work on some branding in terms of the page title and logo and how that appears, as well as your welcome message that displays to your members when they show up right here. And to edit all that section, you go back to your edit group. And now here's where you can fill in any number of things, like you can embed photos and videos, but let's start with just filling in a little bit more about what your project's all about. I'm going to speed up this section of footage here so that you don't have to go through the boring task of watching me type it all in. But once you're done filling it all in, say that you want to add a profile photo, right? So you're going to click into here, and you can search through your hard drive for whatever kind of image you want to represent you as an artist or as a small business, like a logo. If you have a business logo, this would be the place to put it. Now if you use a PNG file or another transparency type of file, it will allow transparency to be able to allow your logo to float over top of the cover image. Or you can just pick any old silly photo like my cat there. So now here, selecting your cover photo, I'm just going to select this crop circle here. And it'll take a few moments for it to go in there, but once you've added it, remember to scroll down and check over your info once or twice if you need, and then click update. And here you will now see your cat detector and your crop circle, as well as your title for the project. And here you can also see we've updated all our information with more detail. And like I said before, when members are coming to the group, your right side block there, your welcome message, is where you'll be able to have your join button for them to join your group. Now in your photo section here, you can add whatever photos you want. You know, it has all the controls laid out right there on site, right? So here, say we want to control our the layout of our photos page or our photos tab. Well, then we go back to manage pages. And here you can see it shows up in the block right there. I want to click on the Photos tab, and down at the bottom you see the layout we have selected. Now here I'm going to select my standard layout because that one seems to work the best. But now say I want to add more content, not just include photos, but you can add other content to the Photos page. And so here you can select which type of block you want to add. And so we're going to come back to the HTML block a little bit later, but for today we're going to see if we can display just our favorite photos. Or say like you want to feature a certain select number of photos from your entire collection. And so we're going to select our featured. And then any photos that you select as featured with the little star option next to them, they'll be able to show up as like either a slideshow or as thumbnails in this little kind of, it's like a display case for just your featured photos. And there's a couple other settings here that you can go through that are easily marked and whatever. But when you've got all the information filled in, click Save. And then you can drag that to, again, anywhere you want in your layout, and then save the page. So back on your photos page now, you can see that now as you add more and more photos to your collection, that'll show up here with all your different categories and whatever, that your featured photos will show up over here on your custom featured photos block. So say now you want to add an entirely new page to your number of tabs that you have listed at the top here. You know, we have our photos, and we have our form, and we have all these other pages, as well as the blocks on our home page that are kind of like showcases for each of your other tabs. Now we want to create a whole new page, and to do that, you go to Manage Pages. Now once you get to your Pages editor here, it shows up at the bottom of your list on the left here. You can click on Add a Page. Now right at the top of the Edit section, you'll be able to select what kind of page you want to add into here. So say in this case we want to add, well, pick one. Pick a card, any card. Now you can select whatever kind of page you want here, but for today we're going to show you the unique quality that we have in some of the groups that is specifically for musicians, and that is this Music tab. Now there's not much you can do to customize the Music tab, but you can adjust, you know, visibility. You can select the right URL that you want. You can customize the tab title itself. I mean, it's all right there, right in front of you. And you can also select like how private or public you want your tracks to be. So if people just on the network want to see it, or if you want it open to everybody, it's up to you. And once you're done going through all those settings, click the Save button, and let's see what it looks like. So now as we give the music page a moment to load, you have a bunch of different options down at the bottom here. So you can select a playlist, like if you want to have a group of songs or tracks all put together, you can create a playlist. Or if you just want a single list of tracks for people to check out, you can just add one track at a time. Now you can see that also up here you have your example music as we've labeled it, and whatever else is going on, but it'll show up in that, oh, we need to refresh. Now you can see your example music tab has showed up over with your other pages here. And to repeat that process, all you ever need to do is just add a page and select what kind of page you want, go through all your different settings, select your layout, repeat ad infinitum. So anytime you want to preview what your group homepage looks like, you have your group home link there, and you have a bunch of different settings here, like your member settings. As more and more members join your group, they'll show up in a list right here. And you have different functions that you can do as an admin, like you can assign another administrator or a moderator for your group, so that you don't have to handle the large numbers of people and different articles and whatever. Like you want to be able to moderate your group with a reasonable amount of support on board. Well, that about wraps it up for today's tutorial. That gives you the basics of how to get a group started. For more specific details on different group options and features and functions, I'll be creating more tutorials in the future with a little more specific detail on each one of the different types and how to edit like custom HTML pages and all the rest. So thanks for dropping by, and we'll see you the next time. Stay genuine.